Hello friends, welcome to the first lecture of capacitance. We are going through the unit electrostatics, right? Let us quickly go through under the topic electrostatics. We have studied about the first thing was force, electrostatic force, in which we had seen Coulomb's law, right? And then the next part which we had seen is electrostatic field or electric field, right? Then the third part which we had seen was potential and flux. And now we are studying about the fourth part of the electrostatics, that is capacitance. So this is the first lecture of the capacitance. If you are enjoying our studies, please comment, like and subscribe, share with your friends. So let us start our discussion of the capacitance. What do we mean by this word capacitance? The word capacitance in itself, it tells us capacity. Somewhere it hovers around the word capacity. So the word capacitance means it is a capacity to store the charge. To store the charge, right? That is called as a capacitance. This capacitance, these are the physical devices, physical components. Like let's say I have one capacitance. This is the one of the polyester capacitor. If you can see it, I'll bring it closer to you, right? If you can see this, it's not focusing. If I bring the focus somewhere here, so this is the polyester capacitor, or you can say a capacitor. It stores the charge, right? What does it do to the stored charge? I'll show you. Capacitance, capacity to store the charge, and the device which stores the charge, right? And device having capacitance is called capacitor, right? So it stores the charge. Maybe in the next class I will show you the capacitor. So it stores the charge. What does it do with the stored charge? It has a very important significance, right? Capacitor with a stored charge, it tries to maintain the continuity of the potential. Let's see how. So what does exactly this capacitor do with the stored charge? That is what we are saying. So let us say this is the time axis and this is the potential, right? The potential supplied from the external device. Let's say our mobile is getting charged, and charger is supplying some 3.3 volt of potential to the mobile so that the battery gets charged. In supplying the 3.3 volt of the potential, what actually is desired for a long life of a battery, right? For a safe operation of a device, so that the device do not get exploded, device remains cooled, its temperature do not rises, it does not malfunction. So for all such desires, what we accept that charger will continue to provide such type of 3.3 volt continuously over the time, but this does not happen. As you can see, this line, it's never state whatever or how much efforts we may put in to design a charger. This line is never such straight. This line contains some spikes. So this line is never straight, it is continuously, it has a ripples. These ripples or some sudden higher voltages, we may call it as a spikes. So they are always there. What does these spikes do? These spikes or surges or ripples, they tend to destroy the device. You might have heard many times that mobile explodes while charging. It is because of this is one of the reasons why the mobile explodes. The potential is not constant, potential changes. As the charger becomes old, as the mobile becomes old, as the components become old, their property changes. And because of change in property, right, the charging is not smooth. The charging is full of such type of the ripples or jerks. This results in the explosion of the mobile. So what we desire, we want such straight line, this blue color straight line we want. But in actual, it does not happen. whatever voltage is supplied by the charger has ripples or such type of the spikes. Now what does the capacitor do here? Capacitor, when it is introduced in the charger, it will try to maintain this line as straight as possible. It will maintain this line as straight as possible. It will suppress the spikes. Let's say spike means higher voltages. Higher voltages means more charge. So what capacitor will do? Whenever it gets a more charge in the line, it will absorb the charge. It will store charge within itself, right? Again spike came, it will store more charge. It has its capacity, right? The capacitor is large, it can store more amount of charge. It is small, it can store small amount of charge. So whenever spike is seen, it stores the charge, and whenever the suppression is seen, that means there is deficiency of charge. Now what capacitor will do? It will discharge itself. It will discharge itself to provide a constant straight line. So if I draw it in a much better way, then the supply is somewhat like this. The supply of the 3 volt is somewhat like this. It's not exactly a straight line. So this will obviously damage our mobile phone. It may result into the blast of the device, right? Any critical electrical device does not expect such type of the power supply. By introduction of the capacitor and other more components, basically capacitor is the most important component, such line will almost become straight. So friends, as I said, this is the polyester capacitor, right? It does not have polarity. Its value is written here. If you can see, it can tolerate 400 volt and its value is 244J. 244J means it resembles some picofarads, and that value need to be decoded. 244J, it represents some picofarads. I have those formulas, but I don't remember them now. So this is a polyester capacitor. It is also called as a AC capacitor. When you place this capacitor in an AC line, it absorbs the excessive voltages. Then I also have this capacitor. This is a electrolytic capacitor, right? Its operating voltage temperatures are shown -40 to 150 degrees centigrade. Then you have this, its value is 1000 microfarad. Focus. Its value is 1000 microfarad, right? 25 volt. So it can tolerate a maximum of 25 volt, and it can store maximum charge of 1000 microfarad. It is quite bigger one. So this is the electrolytic capacitor. There are 2 terminals for this capacitor, right? The terminal which is shown by the black line is negative, and the other one is positive, right? In fact, both the terminals, their height are different. You can see this, right? The terminal which is having a lower height is negative, and the other terminal is positive in nature. This is the electrolytic capacitor. There is a electrolyte inside which stores the charge. Next time, sometimes we'll dissect it and see what's there inside. Capacitor, it makes such fluctuating voltages to the smooth one. I will write down its use of the capacitor. Capacitor is used to smoothen the voltages. The word smoothen itself means that such type of spikes or depressions or unevenness are corrected. So that is a use, that is about the capacitor introduction, right? Then the next topic which we move on to is conductors, insulators and dielectrics. So let me classify them as conductor, then insulator, and then there is a dielectric. These are we can classify any material that is available to us into these 3 categories: insulator, conductor and the dielectrics, right? Whatever material is available. Let's say I have this is made up of a hardboard, so any such material you can take. So those material can be classified into 3 categories. Let us see their definition. So conductors are those you might have studied in the lower class. Conductors which conduct electricity, right? electricity, and their examples are metals. All the metals are good conductors. The best conductor is gold, then silver, then even the platinum. These are the good conductors, but most widely used conductor is copper. So these are the examples of the conductors. Then insulators do not conduct electricity. They do not conduct electricity, do not allow electricity to pass through them. Example, plastic. This plastic, if I put this one into the socket which supplies electricity, I will not get shock because this is made up of plastic. The switch is right on and off. You touch them but you don't get a shock because they are made up of insulators. They do not conduct electricity. Next, another thing is also they do not allow electrical effects through them. Electrical effects through them means electrical effects are, these are the electrical effects. Any charge at rest produce force, right? Then the charge also produce field. The charge has some potential. It has capacitance. Charge also results in the production of the capacitance. Charge also results in the production of the magnetic field and such things. So those are the effects of electricity, right? So insulators, they do not allow any electrical effects to pass through them. Almost all the electrical effects, they are not allowed. Examples of the insulators are, best examples are the plastic, right? Wood, it is there, and many other some materials are there which are made from the combination of other materials, and they behave as insulators. Now coming on to the dielectrics, these are similar to the insulators. Similar to the insulators. What is the similarity? Similarities, they also do not conduct electricity. Do not conduct electricity. Then what does they do? But they allow electrical effects. Electrical effects in the sense they allow electric field to pass through them, right? Maybe they also allow magnetic field to pass through them. So those are called as dielectrics. There are specific dielectrics, right? There are some dielectrics which allow electrical field, they allow magnetic field, they allow attractive force through them. There are some dielectrics which only allow electrical field to pass through them and block the magnetic field, whereas there are also dielectrics which allow only magnetic field while blocking the electrical field. So dielectrics, right? Examples of the dielectrics are mica. Then there are some electrolytes, right? Air is also a dielectric, right? Air is also insulator, it's also a dielectric, right? Let us see, if I place a magnet here, then another iron substance here, in the air, magnetic effect can be reached to this substance. If it is very far, air does not allow effect to pass to a much larger distance. But if the distance is small, then the effect gets easily passed and the magnetic substance gets attracted to the magnet. So dielectrics, they vary in their actions. So these are some of the examples of the dielectrics: mica, electrolyte, air. So that is the classification of the material into three categories, right? Conductors, insulators, and the dielectrics. Here we'll be focusing our studies on the dielectrics. We'll be seeing in detail what does this dielectrics exactly do. Then the next topic we have is behavior of the conductors in an electric field. Behavior of conductors in electric field. External electric field. Now, how does the conductors behave in the case of the external electric field? So let us see that. The first important observation that we obtain when we place a conductor in an electric field is that electric field inside conductor is zero. That is what the first observation is. Let me explain this. Let us say I have been given an electric field, right? This is the electric field. Direction is from left to right. So in this electric field, let us say I keep one box. This box is made up of a conducting material. So if I notice that inside this box there will be no electric field. Electric field will become zero inside this box. How does this happen? So let us see. let us say this is a box placed in an electric field. This box is placed inside an electric field. Then what happens? If this box is placed, then this side is positive and this side is negative. So the face which is towards the positive, on that face positive charges will get developed, and the face which is towards the negative side, this opposite side face, on that opposite side face negative charges gets accumulated. Due to this positive charges, so this is positive, so positive on positive side, negative charges get accumulated due to attraction, and on the far end positive charges get accumulated. Let me draw a simple cross section of the box, right? So this is the face which is towards positive side, will get a negative charge accumulated, and the face which is facing negative side, positive charges will get accumulated. Now if external electric field is E, then because of this positive and negative charge inside the conductor, reverse electric field is set up. So because of this reverse electric field inside and external electric field, they both of them cancels each other's effect, ultimately making electric field inside a conductor zero. Let us see once again, right? When a conductor is placed inside an electric field, the face which is facing the positive side, due to this positive field, charge the electrons, conductor obviously it has a free electrons inside, right? So electrons get accumulated on this end, the end which is towards the positive side, and on the far end which is towards the negative side, electrons are not there, so ultimately it acquires a positive charge. Now the transfer of electrons from this end to this end, it continues till the electric field inside it becomes equal to the external electric field. Once the inside and external electric field, if I denote them with inside with I and external electric field as EX, right? So till this internal and external electric field becomes equal, the transfer of electrons towards this end will continue. Once this electric field are equal, electrons transfer will stop and the electric field inside the conductor will become zero, right? So that is the first observation that we obtain, that electric field inside a conductor is zero. Electric field inside a conductor is zero when conductor is placed in external electric fields, right? So this is a conductor irrespective of the shape and size. If you place it in an external electric field, it will become zero. I have a question here. Let's say myself, if I am placed in an electric field, then what will happen? Will electric field inside me become zero? Obviously no. I am not a best conductor. I am just a conductor, but I am not as good conductor as this metallic conductor is, right? So obviously electric field inside me will be different than the external electric field, but totally inside electric field will not become zero. Then the next point we have regarding the behavior of the conductor is that charge inside conductor become zero when placed in external electric field. So when I place a conductor in external electric field, for this here charge inside is also zero. This statement we can prove it again. How? We know this, that electric field, surface integral of the electric field, right, is 1 upon epsilon times the charge enclosed, right? Now we know that interior of the conductor has electric field 0. So we can say that electric field is 0 in the interior of the conductor. When electric field is 0, it leads to the conclusion as per this equation that charge will also be 0, right? Electric field is 0, 0 into 0, 0, epsilon naught shifted this side again 0, which leads to the conclusion that charge in the interior of the conductor is also 0. Then third important observation that we obtain when conductor is placed in external electric field is that charge resides only on outer surface. of the conductor placed in external electric field. In short, you can write down just this much: the charge resides only on the outer surface. Then I have added this suffix to make a better sense to this phrase, right? If I write only this much, it becomes a phrase, but addition of these lines will make it as a sentence. So charge resides only on the outer surface of the conductor placed in an external field. This is again obvious and logically it can be understood. Let us say a conductor is placed in an electric field, right? What happens? Whatever charge that is generated inside, where will it stay? Where that charge will be? Let's say this is a spherical conductor. So because of the electric field, this is the external electric field I have, right? This is the external electric field I have. So because of this external electric field, this side is positive, this side is positive, and this side is negative. So those positive charges get generated on this end. Sorry, negative charges on this end, and ultimately opposite end acquires the positive charge. Now this charges does not remain inside. Because of the repulsion within themselves, this charge come to the surface. They get distributed evenly on the surface. Same thing happens with this positive charge also. It gets evenly distributed on the surface. They do not remain inside, right? If it is inside, the repulsion is more. So ultimately they come and reside on the surface. That is what the logic is behind this statement. The charge resides only on the outer surface of the conductor placed in an electric field. Then the next point which we have is, that is fourth point, which states that electric field on the surface of conductor is perpendicular to the surface, perpendicular to the surface, and its value is given by sigma by epsilon naught n cap. Again, this statement needs to be understood, right? So just see this condition. As soon as conductor is placed in an electric field, the transfer of charges or the charges electrons, they will rearrange themselves. Their rearrangement will result into zero electric field inside. Once this rearrangement is done, what the scenario will be? The scenario will be something like this, right? Electric field on the surface will be just outward. It will be perpendicular to the surface. So the electric field almost will disappear within that place, right? So electric field will be perpendicular to the surface, and this electric field, its value will be sigma by epsilon naught, and the direction is perpendicular to the surface. That is what this statement means. That after the transfer of electron is done, that means a stability condition is attained, the field around the conductor will look somewhat like this. Then the fifth statement that we have is that charge density is different. No. Fifth statement that we have is, it states that yes, electric potential is constant. Electric potential is constant inside the conductor. Again, this statement we can prove, right? How? We know we have this equation, E is equals to minus dV by dr. But for this, what do we say? For a conductor, right, electric field is zero. Electric field is zero. That means dV by dr is 0. That means dV is equals to 0. Whose differentiation is 0? Differentiation of a constant term is 0. So mathematically we obtain one more condition, that electric potential is constant inside the conductor. On and inside the conductor is constant at on and inside of the conductor. Then the sixth statement regarding the electrostatics, regarding the behavior of the conductors, we have that charge density is different at different points. So this again, it is a logical thing, right? The place which has a large amount of the electric field, here the charges will be more, and the place where the electric field is less, here the charge density will be less. So this is the electrostatics of the conductor. This topic can also be renamed as, or it is also called as electrostatics of conductors. So this is what it is, behavior of the conductors in an electric field. These 6 topics, they form the base of the topic capacitance. Then we'll see how the capacitance are made in the next lecture. Thank you.